Welcome to Value Vest Daily. Today, we're diving into a massive technological shift that's happening right now, one that is literally changing the definition of work. We're talking about the AI agent revolution. And trust me, this isn't just about a fancy new app. It's about a whole new kind of workforce.
So think about it. For the last 20 years, the model has been exactly the same. You subscribe to an app, and then you, the human, do all the work. All the clicking, all the typing, all the connecting. It's been on us. Well, that's all changing. The future is about AI agents. You just give it a goal, and the AI handles all the steps to get there. We're not software operators anymore. We're becoming managers of a digital team.
And this quote just nails the shift perfectly. We're going from software as a service to service as software. What does that actually mean? Well, instead of just paying for a tool, you're basically hiring a digital expert that delivers a finished product, like a fully processed invoice or a perfectly qualified sales lead. You're buying the result, not the tool. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this whole revolution, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with why the app era is coming to a close. Then we'll break down the 3 key types of companies building this future: the service leaders, the brains and infrastructure providers, and the specialists. And finally, we'll wrap up with a playbook on how you can think about this space. All right, first up, why do we say the app revolution is over? Now, it's not that apps are going away entirely, but their whole purpose is fundamentally changing. They're becoming less of a tool we use and more of a platform that deploys these autonomous agents for us. You know, the SaaS model has been the king for the last 2 decades. We all have subscriptions to dozens of different apps, right? But the bottleneck has always been the same. A human has to sit in the driver's seat, painstakingly clicking and copying and pasting to get anything meaningful done. But now, powerful AI is making service as software a reality. And here, you buy the outcome. You don't give the software a list of instructions, you give it a goal, and an autonomous agent figures out all the complex steps to make it happen. It's a huge difference. So who's actually leading this charge? Well, first up are the service leaders. These are the software giants who are transforming their platforms from, passive databases into these active digital workforces that actually do things. The thesis for this group is really simple. Data is power. These companies already hold the keys to the kingdom. We're talking customer lists, financial records, all that critical employee data. And now they're building agents that can actually act on that data, turning their platforms from storage closets into active workers. Just look at Salesforce. Their agents are so much more than chatbots. We're talking about service agents that can handle a full refund request from start to finish. It analyzes the request, checks the company policy, processes the payment, and emails the customer, all without a human ever lifting a finger. It's incredible. Then you have ServiceNow, which is really focused on creating these digital employees for all those internal company tasks. So imagine an HR agent. An employee asks about maternity leave. The old way, you get a link to a policy document. The new way, the agent drafts the form, checks their PTO, and submits it for approval. That's the difference. Palantir is all about these super complex operations using what they call multi-agent systems. Their platform gets real-world concepts like factories and supply chains. So let's say a hurricane hits. A logistics agent can automatically reroute trucks around the storm and update the inventory forecast, all without needing any human intervention. And UiPath's evolution really tells the whole story. I mean, they started with basic RPA, automating simple clicks. Now, they're building fully autonomous finance agents that can process an invoice from the moment it arrives to the final approval. They're even using swarms of agents that work together to predict and solve supply chain problems before they happen. Of course, these agents don't just appear out of thin air. They need intelligence, they need power. And that brings us to our second category, the brains and infrastructure. You can think of these as the picks and shovels companies that are providing the essential tech for everyone else to build on. The core idea here is super simple. Every single AI agent needs 2 fundamental things. It needs a brain, that's the large language model, or LLM, and it needs a home to live in, that's the cloud infrastructure. The companies in this group are selling these essential, non-negotiable components. Microsoft's goal is basically to put an agent builder in everyone's hands. Their Copilot Studio is a platform that lets any employee, even non-coders, build their own custom agents. In healthcare, for example, agents are already being built that can read a patient's entire medical history and suggest triage steps to a doctor in real time. Google, on the other hand, is really pushing to make agents multimodal, meaning they can see and hear, not just process text.
And this is a total game changer. Their Project Astra can use your phone's camera to literally see where you left your glasses. And companies like Virgin Voyages are using their tech for Email Ellie, an agent that can write these witty, on-brand replies to really complex customer emails. And then, of course, there's Amazon Web Services, which is the back end for, well, a huge chunk of the internet. Their Bedrock service gives developers the secure plumbing they need to connect these powerful AI models to sensitive company data. This lets you build an inventory agent that can literally write its own code to check the database and give you a real-time stock count. Okay, last but not least, let's look at our third category, the specialized players. Because while the big platforms give you general intelligence, agents often need really specific expert skills to do high-stakes jobs. And that is where these specialists shine. The thesis here is kind of like this. A general-purpose AI is like your family doctor, but sometimes you need a brain surgeon. These companies are providing those highly specialized skills, things like a natural-sounding voice, ironclad security, or just the raw horsepower you need to operate at a massive scale. Nvidia is the perfect example. They're basically building the factory for this entire digital workforce. They don't just sell the GPUs that provide the raw power. They also offer what they call NIM agent blueprints. These are like pre-made recipes for building expert agents for really complex fields like drug discovery. CrowdStrike is tackling a problem that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, agent versus agent warfare. Because as bad guys start using AI agents to attack systems, we're going to need good AI agents to defend them. Their Charlotte AI lets a security analyst just say, in plain English, isolate all laptops that visited this suspicious site, and boom, the agent executes that complex task across the whole network instantly. SoundHound is all about giving agents a voice, letting them have natural, spoken conversations. Their restaurant agents can take a super complicated pizza order over the phone with all the modifications and payment details with zero human help. They're also rolling out digital bank employees that can handle tough calls about things like mortgage rates. And over in the creative world, Adobe is embedding agents right into its classic products. Their AI assistant can generate a whole set of personalized ads for a marketing campaign from just a simple prompt. And they're building a Photoshop AI assistant that's like a chat-based partner for creatives, helping them through complex editing jobs. So, the big question is, how fast is all this really happening? Well, while it definitely feels like it's moving at light speed, a lot of experts are pointing to the year 2026 as the real tipping point. That's the year AI agents are expected to hit critical mass and just become a standard part of doing business. And, that's really not that far away. So, given that timeline, how should we even begin to approach this space? Well, this last section is a little playbook to help you think clearly and, separate the real signal from all the hype out there. It's a lot to take in, right? So the question is, where do you even start when you're trying to evaluate these companies? Okay, first, just from an educational standpoint, try to focus on these three key ideas. First, agentic workflows. That's understanding how an AI goes from just being a chatbot to actually reasoning, planning, and taking action. Second, multi-agent systems, how these agents can team up. And third, human in the loop, which is the crucial idea of knowing when an agent has to stop and ask a person for permission. And if you're looking at this from an investment perspective, asking these three simple questions can really help. Number one, do they own the context? Proprietary data is the fuel for these agents. Two, is it true service as software? Look for companies pricing their services based on the outcome, not just per user. And three, how deep is the integration? The key difference is whether an agent can only advise a human or if it can actually execute the task itself. All right, before we wrap things up, just a quick and very important notice about the purpose of today's explainer. Just to be perfectly clear, this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial advice. It is not tax advice. All investing involves risk, so please consult with a licensed professional to get advice that's tailored to your own personal situation. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. If you found this breakdown valuable, it would mean the world to us if you could help our community grow by subscribing, liking, and sharing ValueVest Daily. It really helps us create more learning opportunities just like this one. And one last thing, we really want to hear from you. This whole space is moving incredibly fast. Let us know down in the comments if there's a specific company or topic in this AI agent revolution that you want us to do a deep dive on. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.